guys, how's it going? Today we're going to be planting up 4 different containers. I've got them laid out right here, 2 for the shade and 2 for a full sun location, and we're going to be following the 2025 National Recipes of the Year from Proven Winners. I have my list right here. We typically try to plant up the recipes for the next year in the current year so that we can get some experience and share with you guys how we did with them, how the plants look. It's really fun to do because oftentimes they pair things together that I haven't really thought about maybe pairing together, so it gives you ideas. I think that's the whole goal. So the first one is going in this pretty big container. I want to say, I should have measured. Is that about 24-inch opening right there? 24-inch diameter. So that's our 2 full sun containers. Will be going in identical pots, but that way we can get some big growth out of these plants because they'll have a lot of room for root growth and all that. And then one of the planters we're not going to be able to see much today because we're planting them from bulbs. We've got a grouping of caladiums, which, you know, caladiums in our area, we're in a northern climate, so it gets hot here in the summer, but it doesn't get hot until late, like hot enough for these until late June. So not a lot of growers grow these here, so we have to get them usually in bulb form. And then the other one is a gorgeous mix of like the most perfect pink and beautiful foliage texture. So I think what we should just do is start in. This first one right here is what they're calling Ireland. And what they have mixed together for a centerpiece, which is optional, they recommend the Queen Tut, and I'm going to use it because I have one, and I really like, out of all the tut grasses, this one is my favorite because it stays a little bit more tidy, compact, but it looks cleaner in its growth habit to me. And then we're going to surround that with, if I can reach them here, the Goldilocks Rocks Bidens. These already look so amazing. We've had these in the high tunnel for a little while. We've been fertilizing them right along, so they look really good. But we're going to pop some of these around the edge with the Luscious Basket Tangelo Lantana. And that gives it kind of a tropical vibe with that little bit of pink that you've got in there. And then also the Super Bells Over Easy, which kind of looks like an Over Easy egg maybe, with the yellow center and the white rest of it. White petals, it's all part of the petals, but you know what I mean. So anyway, let's get our drip set up to these first. Of course, we're going to be popping these in the landscape in other locations, but we can at least get the first part of our drip set here. So we've got our black supply line right here. This does not have any emitter holes in it. And you can see the drain hole here. Aaron actually came out here and drilled this one out a little bit more because it was quite small. And you want to make sure there's plenty of room for your tube and also for water to drain out. That's pretty important. I'm going to bring that up through here. And I always like to cut quite a lot just in case we find ourselves a distance away from a drip line out in the flower bed, because we just pop this right into an existing drip line that we have. And then I'm going to use a straight coupler right here, 1/4 inch straight, put that in here, attach our brown 1/4 inch drip tubing. This has the emitter holes every 6 inches. And now what we're doing this year, because it's inevitable, our water is so hard that these little emitter holes plug up really quickly. So we're putting like 3 times the amount of drip that we normally do, just to accommodate for the eventual pluggage of the holes. So let's see, probably about that much. What do you think, Aaron? Too much?
It looks good.
You can always take some away, and you can also always add some if you need to. We'll start with this, we can adjust it, but we've got a little plug right here to put on the end. So now our drip is set up, other than, you know, popping it into the actual water line out in the flower bed. Now I'm going to grab some potting soil. Aaron just grabbed the whole pallet. It was like buried in weeds in the back of the dirt lands. And this has been sitting in rain, so it's pretty heavy. But we fill containers top to bottom with soil. We don't add fillers to the bottom. It messes with the drainage. It's not that great of a thing to do. These are 1 cubic foot bags, so we'll probably need at least 1 more, maybe part of a 3rd bag. Bag number 2, need a little more. Some bindweed. Yeah, look how wet this soil is, my goodness. We're gonna have a time and a half moving this into a flower bed, Aaron. Might have to get Paul to help us. Okay, so that was about 2.5 bags. And then we're gonna add in our continuous release plant food here. I don't really measure. I just give a good dose there. There is a guide on the back though, if you are wondering. Mix that in. This fertilizer lasts for several weeks and it's heat activated, so it should be good to go. We've been kind of watching the weather at night, especially for this caladium container, because caladiums do not like to be planted unless it's consistently above 60 at night. We had a 40-degree night last week, so that's why we have to wait so long to plant those. But here's our Queen Tut. It's going right in the center. So I just stick my hand in, scoot soil around, out of the way, pop my root ball in, pack it in like that. We're gonna go in with our Luscious Tangelo. I love this lantana. Pop that one in. And since we're gonna do two, I'm gonna do the next one right on the other side. Like so. Just make sure that there's soil packed around each root ball. And then we're gonna go in with our Goldilocks Rocks Bidens. Let's get another one of these on the other side. Let's see, yeah, right here. This one's gonna look very happy, very bright and happy. And our Super Bells. That kind of brings the light to the arrangement. Look at this. They're huge. You technically could do a little trim on a plant like this. When you start seeing a little bit of green in the center and kind of leggy branches especially, they do that in containers quite a lot if you've got them in there for too long. So you could go after this, trim a little bit of the ends off. You do forfeit blooms, but it does make for a really productive plant about 2 weeks later. But I'm not gonna do that today because I really wanna see these in full color. Look at that. The magpies love it. Yep, that's really pretty. Okay, so now I'm gonna put our drip line in here and we're gonna run one line all the way around the exterior of these plants, which sometimes it's easier to do that before you plant, but we're just gonna gently tuck it in here. All the way to where the drip, holes start. Just right here. Okay, so now I'm gonna bring it into the interior and that's where the rest of it's gonna go. I'm just gonna slip it over the top of the grass. There. So now we've got one line on the outside and a couple on the inside there. Should work perfectly. So that is recipe number one. Again, it's called Ireland, and we will pop a picture up on the screen if we haven't already of what Proven Winner says this should look like in the end. Okay, moving our operation over to this one. This is a mix of Supertunia Vistas. They're calling this one Vista View. Let's pop a picture up on the screen of what we can expect it to look like. So it's a mix of the Supertunia Vista Snowdrift, the Supertunia Vista Jazzberry, which is the darker pink, and Supertunia Vista Bubblegum. My goodness, let me just do this. Ugh. Snowdrift, this is another one that could benefit from a pruning right now. There's a Bubblegum, and then here's our Jazzberry. The beautiful part about pairing all of your vistas together is that they all have very similar growth habits, growth rates. They're all very aggressive. I'm only gonna use one of each one of these in this container, so there's gonna be a total of 3 plants. And if you can get a stunning container arrangement in a pot this size with only 3 plants, I think that is just amazing. And the way to go, really, if you've got a ton of planters to do, or if you're wanting to put together something a little bit more on a budget, Supertunia Vistas. Okay, we gotta do our drip first. Up through the bottom of the hole here, drainage hole. Okay. Again, we'll go in with our straight coupler and attach our 1/4-inch brown drip line, which that's not enough, so I'm gonna have to open a new one. This might work though for this one here. This one won't need nearly as much water as the rest. Okay, hang on, I gotta untie this and tape it. Okay, I'm gonna attach that in like that, and then put our plug on the open end. Okay, now I gotta fill this with soil, and we know we're gonna need this bag plus 2 more. Okay, I think that that is sufficient. We're going to add in our slow release. It's just really important with plants, especially these Supertunia Vistas, because they're such large growing, high performance plants, they need quite a lot of food. So starting them off with something like having a backup plant in the soil in addition to your weekly water soluble fertilizer is a really good idea. Okay, so we've got that set up. Let's go in with our Supertunia Vista Snowdrift. Can't believe how huge that plant is. Then we've got our Vista Bubblegum. We have these planted, you know, at the end of our loop by our hydrangea hedge out there in the south garden, and they are so vibrant and so beautiful. We were just commenting on that last night. So we were driving around looking at everything. Supertunia Vista Jazzberry. That's it for this one. So we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to twirl a round of this on the outside. There we go. Sometimes if you have a landscape staple, it's handy to pop the drip down in the soil so you don't see it, but these will cover it really, really, really quickly. Okay, well that one's done. All right, so this next one, the reason why I was clawing around in a hanging basket is that I had to go find a Dichondra Silver Falls is one of the foliage accents in this container. And this one's called Champagne Toast, by the way. I love that name. So we've got the Dichondra Silver Falls, the Medusa, Sweet Caroline Medusa, Sweet Potato Vine, and then the Double Delight Blush Rose Begonia. It's so pretty. I could not find Dichondra Silver Falls anywhere. My parents were out. I mean, everybody's selling out. So I had to go one town over to find a hanging basket that had Dichondra in it in order to get this whole look. So I had to kind of tear apart the hanging basket to get our Dichondra. So anyway, that's how I started off my morning. I was so delighted to find it though. But we're gonna do the same thing. Now this is one of our shade arrangements. So I'm gonna use this little leftover piece of drip because this container is not going to need as much water as these full sun ones. Let's get our supply line in. And the fact that it's got begonias, you know, begonias aren't super high need in terms of water, so. I think that this particular arrangement, let's pop a picture up on the screen if we haven't already. I think this particular one is well suited for a hanging basket or a situation where the pot is elevated, because as you can see, the Dichondra and the Sweet Potato Vine are beast plants and they get really long. So I feel like they're better highlighted in situations where they're allowed to do that. So we're gonna place a pillar in a shady spot in one of our flower beds to put this container on so it can do its thing, and we won't have to constantly be trimming on it. If it were on the ground, it would be a little bit of a different story. So now I need to get soil. One bag is all we're gonna need. Might even need to take some of that out. We're gonna have to see how this goes. The root balls on this Dichondra are the biggest, so I'm gonna plant these first. So I make sure there's still a little soil up against the edge of the pot before I introduce the root balls. Almost forgot. Okay. Now we're good. Oh, look at that. Okay. I've got 3 of these. Oh my goodness. I also got some nice pink geraniums out of the deal. That was in the center of the hanging basket and they popped out just really easy. So I've got those in the greenhouse waiting to be repotted as soon as I'm done here. Okay, and then a third one. And Dichondra is a really versatile one in terms of light. You can put it in a sunny spot or a shady spot. In shade, it's not going to grow quite as aggressively. Same with the sweet potato vines. I need to remove a little of the soil. So I feel like you can get away with packing shade containers a little bit fuller than you do your sun containers. Okay, Sweet Caroline Medusa. There's one. Now to get the look that Proven Winners has of this, I think we're gonna have to keep this one trimmed because it's gonna probably wanna compete with the dichondra just a little bit. And it looks like they have it in 3 layers. Like the dichondra comes down and then there's a little layer of this and then it's the begonias. Okay. You know what I'm gonna do right now? Because the begonias are a little bit more tender plants, I'm gonna curl this around first. And we'll just scoot it out of the way of the begonias when needed. Okay, there. Oh, that was way easier than trying to fight around the begonias. Okay, look at these. Now these will grow about 14 inches tall. I can't remember the spread on these though. Spacing about 12 inches, so we could do what, 3 in here about? I brought 5 over. See how this goes. Right now they look pretty tiny. Hopefully they'll take off and grow really quickly and fill in as a beautiful domed kind of centerpiece full of color. Yeah, I think 3 is about right. Okay, so I kind of positioned those. Ooh, look at this. I don't think so, earwig. Okay, I kind of positioned them in back of the dichondra. It's a beautiful look. Honestly, it's very peaceful and it'll be very interesting to see how this does. Now, once we position this, I might trim the dichondra up so it's a little bit more in scale with the rest of the arrangement here, but I really like that. Okay, the last one we have are the caladiums. So let me get soil, set up soil in the pot, and then we'll go over how to plant those. So this last one they're calling strawberry stand, this mix of caladiums, and we'll pop a picture up on the screen since we won't be able to see any of it today. And like I said, they like consistent soil temperature and nights consistently above 60 before you plant them. And I've talked to growers before that say that they're kind of difficult to get going because they like a lot of bottom heat. So that kind of makes sense. So oftentimes this is how we get ours. And I don't know if they refer to these as a bulb or a rhizome or a corm, I'm not sure. But they come with this little thing of paint on the top, which is so handy. You want to plant your bulb about 1.5 to 2 inches below the soil surface with the painted side facing up. I love that they take the guesswork out for you. So let's go through the varieties real quick before we pop them in. We've got Scarlet Flame, which is a red, green, and pink one. Just very little bit of pink in there. And then Vava Violet, which I've been really excited to grow, have never had a chance to yet. And then White Wonder, which I have grown. And out of all of the caladiums, it seems like White Wonder has a little bit of a thicker leaf and they hold up a little bit better for us. So I've really enjoyed that variety and I like the white and green mix. So I'm just gonna take, I don't know, maybe, ooh, this is a big one. Maybe 3 of each of these corms because they get 12 to 18 inches tall. So that's pretty big in the end, but we're starting so late. I don't know, let's see, one more of these. Put a White Wonder in the center and then maybe scoot these around a little bit. They do still like some good feed, so I'm gonna add some of the slow release in around them. That's how it looks. We've got 9 corms in there, which is probably an overreaction, but because we have to start so late, I'd rather pack it full. And we're gonna just top it up with some fresh soil. And this is gonna go in a shady spot. I'm just gonna tuck it into the edge of a flower bed over here, probably near the house, so we can monitor the progress. And then we've got our drip. I'll just curl right around the top. I think with this one, I'm gonna, since I don't have any plants to rest it on, I'm gonna have to use landscape staples, which I don't have at the moment. So we need to run around and get these placed in the landscape. Let's do that, and then we'll be done. First spot right here, the caladiums. I think this is gonna be perfect. There's beautiful stuff around them. Drip line right close by, so I was able to pop that right in there. It's perfect. There we go. Okay, container number 2, I decided to tuck it in next to these Tiara Pink Supertunias, the new ones for next year. Plus, we don't have a whole lot going on in this bed at the moment, so it'll be nice to see this overflowing container of pink and white as the season progresses. Okay, now we gotta find a spot for this one. More yellows, tropical vibe. Let's find a spot where it fits in. So I'm thinking right here.
Okay.
Yeah? I think this is going to look really pretty right here. It does look a little perched because there's not a lot going on around it, but sometimes it's just the placement of one thing that motivates me to start planting heavier around that one thing that I place, and this could be it. Plus, I think it would be nice to have a little color popped right here. It's right at the entrance of our property, and just little, bits of this and that in terms of color is nice. Because while we've got some beautiful evergreens and deciduous trees and other shrubs, our first bit of annual color are the Supertunia Vista bubblegums that you can kind of see popping through over there. But it's all tapped into the water system out here. I watered it in, so this one's also good to go. And I think I saw Aaron just take off with the pillar, possibly. Maybe he's working on getting the pillar that this one's gonna sit on. And we're gonna head up to the ash tree area in our front lawn for that. I think it was a bit buried. Aaron had to move a bunch of pallets to get to it. But this is the pillar we're after. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, that's so pretty.
There, that's pretty good.
I love the placement of this last one. Look at how beautiful it is. And there's nothing in this flower bed in terms of containers or anything like that. I mean, if you look over to the left, there's some statuary and containers, but this flower bed itself needed a little bit of that, I think. And I love it. This pillar has always been a favorite of mine. In fact, we had it beneath our maple tree, sort of by our back shade porch with a container on it for many years before we had the brick sidewalk redone. And then we didn't have enough space for it. So it's nice to bring this one back out here, and the container looks really pretty. So with the dichondra, because it was kind of in clumps coming down, I just took separate branches and kind of tucked them up underneath the potato vine so that it gave it a little bit more of an overall, like there's dichondra coming out from every location. I've got to get it watered in today, but it is tapped into the drip system, and we went straight down through the hole. There's a hole through this pillar. So it goes out from underneath and then taps into the drip right behind it. And this zone runs every other day, which should be the perfect amount for this container in the shade. Kind of the shade. There's like a tiny little ray of sun on one portion of it right now. Oh, it's so pretty. And that concludes our 2025 recipe trial container planting for this year. So we will be giving you updates as the season progresses, and it's so fun to not only trial out different combinations, but also have different containers around the garden. I love that. I love when there's just a little pop of something different in both, hardscape and in color. And nothing quite brings color to the landscape like annuals do. Hey, Russell. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.